This is CBC Here and Now.
An exciting time for the Native Friendship Center here in St. John's. Some new digs too. By the way, there's a name change. They're celebrating 35 years. That story coming up tonight on Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. We'll check back in with you, Anthony, in about 10 minutes. We begin tonight with big money for ocean innovation. The federal government and private industry are chipping in about $150 million each to try and foster new ideas and development. Here and Now's Katie Breen reports.
Instead of the yellow turbine suspended by sticks, picture it in the water, the current turning the crank instead of a hand. Battery-free electricity. When Water Lily started, the idea was to put giant turbines in the ocean, but the capital was hard to come by, so they went smaller, into the consumer market. But now, with today's announcement, the company is optimistic it can get back into bigger waters.
That ocean tech market is still there for our technology. We've just never really had the capital to get back into it. So the ocean supercluster money could allow us to, expand and grow back into that market again.
That's what the federal government and the private sector is hoping their money will do. Create a supercluster or way to connect ideas with funding, foster tech startups and bigger local business to innovate and fix problems in and around the ocean.
We're good at this. This is what we do, We're very good at tech involving offshore oil and gas. We're very good at fisheries and aquaculture, so this builds on our strengths. Geography works for us here.
In total, between private and public money, it'll be around $300 million for the Atlantic provinces. Newfoundland and Labrador will get about half of that. The federal government estimates that in 10 years, the investment will create 3,000 jobs and a stronger, globally competitive industry.
The private sector and federal government collaboration, it'll force people to collaborate on a bigger scale than they would have done with individual companies working on individual products and services for ocean tech.
The trick now, of course, is for companies like AS Works and Water Lily to go through the Ocean Supercluster process and try and secure some of that funding for themselves. Katie Breen, CBC News, St. John's.
Police in Western Labrador have made an arrest in an armed robbery that happened last weekend. Police say last Saturday, a man walked into Lakeside Convenience in Labrador City and demanded cash. He fled with the money before police arrived. The RNC arrested a 27-year-old man last night after executing a search warrant at a house in the town. His charges include armed robbery and firearms offenses. The Canadian Coast Guard is reporting the situation with the bulk carrier Centennial Harmony has stabilized. Power has been restored and the vessel and crew are safe. The ship lost power yesterday and experienced some flooding. It's about 250 nautical miles southeast of St. John's. It reported taking on water and put out a distress call, but it later gained control of the flooding. There are 21 crew members aboard the ship. And a Lewisport woman who put out an appeal on social media for help finding her uncle and aunt who are missing in the California wildfires now says she's losing hope they're still alive. Megan Janes says her family was told that 2 bodies had been found on the property belonging to her uncle Randy Dodge and his wife Paula in Paradise, Northern California. That area was one of the hardest hit by the fires. It's been called the deadliest wildfire in the United States in a century. At least 63 people have been killed and 600 are still missing. Jane says she won't know for sure if the 2 bodies found are her aunt and uncle until a DNA test is performed.
There was hope, but now I think we have a little bit of peace, and that's what we needed. And it's not okay, but it's what we need to move on and how to navigate through this very difficult time.
Hi Dragons, my name is Ross O'Keefe and I'm from St. John's, Newfoundland.
I'm Michael Shelley and I'm a registered physiotherapist.
This overnight success as it stands today has been 3 years in the making.
A group from St. John's has walked away from the Dragon's Den with a major deal. Nextbar and its self-massage device was featured on last night's episode of the popular CBC television program. Jeremy Eaton introduces us to the team and tells us what's next for them. And it's Friday, that means the weekend is here, and of course everyone wants to know how the weather is going to be, so how's it looking, Ashley?
Not great.
Oh. Really?
I know.
Is there anything
I'm
good?
sorry.
Snow?
Snow, I mean, if you love snow, I'm sure people through parts of central Newfoundland, and if you're trying to get out on your snowmobile, that's certainly going to be possible this weekend. If we take a look at the current satellite and radar, we're going to see some flurries, or already are starting to see some flurries make their way towards the island. The southwest portion, going to see that first as we head through the night tonight. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see just why this mess sitting over the Maritimes right now is headed our way, and it's going to continue to move further north as we head into the overnight and into tomorrow, where a number of warnings have been issued so far. So we've got a winter storm warning for Port aux Basques, and then south, central, and parts of the interior are seeing those snowfall warnings with this system. We could see between 15 to as much as 30 centimeters in some cases, and we're not out of the woods as far as winds go. More wind warnings have been issued. Wreckhouse wind gusting upwards of 130 kilometers per hour tonight, and then those wind warnings for parts of the Burin and the Avalon as well. But I will have all the details on this storm coming up in a little bit. Carolyn?
Thanks, Ashley. Well, winter has struck Corner Brook, and the snow isn't going anywhere. But in the center of the city, a major construction project is still not complete. Here and Now's Colleen Connors has an update on the Main Street Bridge.
No doubt, winter has set in. There's a coating of snow over Corner Brook, including that major construction site that's shut down the downtown for months. With all this high wind, cold temperatures, and the snow falling, everyone is wondering, when will they complete the Main Street Bridge? And when will this main road be open to the public once again?
This is not what we had hoped for, obviously. It's been a really rough fall and early winter season so far. It has delayed the project a little bit, but we're still on track to open on by the end of the month, about November 30th. That is still the intent of the contractors to have the bridge open by then.
The intent is to open the road in 2 weeks, but the weather plays a huge factor here. The Main Street Bridge has been replaced with its newer version, but there's still a lot left to do.
It's complicated, it really does slow things down, but it's still possible.
Like paving. Crews here still plan on pouring asphalt before December.
Typically when you're paving on a normal roadway, it's on ground. So if that ground gets frozen, that's not good. In this case, it's a concrete deck, so you can pave over top of that.
That requires contractors to heat the area, maintain that temperature, then pour and set the asphalt and concrete. All while crews try to stay warm in these harsh temperatures. Hopefully staff can complete the work on time, and the road can open to traffic by December. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Childcare got a boost in Happy Valley Goose Bay today. Minister Al Hawkins was in town to announce a contribution of about $24,000 to Pumpkin House Childcare Center. The Early Childhood Development Association has now received more than $900,000 from the province. In Happy Valley Goose Bay, it will mean 30 more children can sign up for after-school care at a new Pumpkin House Childcare Center, which is now under construction. But even with a new, bigger space, the community says there are still plenty of parents waiting for a spot.
We have 196 kids on our active wait list today. We're only going to address a small portion of that, some 16 new spaces as the configuration works itself into place. There is still a need, but our biggest singular challenge will be working together to ensure that we have qualified staff, early childhood educators to operate those programs.
And that new center is slated to open in the spring of 2019. Well, a group from St. John's has walked away from Dragon's Den $100,000 richer. The Next Bar was featured on last night's episode of the popular CBC program. The brains behind the brand got not one, but two competing offers. And as Jeremy Eaton explains, picking a partner was easy.
Some might say a few fellas from Newfoundland and Labrador slayed a dragon last night. Ross O'Keefe and Michael Shelley marched into the den, stared down 6 dragons, and walked away with a lot of cash. Their pitch? Next Bar.
Equipped with a telescopic arm, Ross and Michael say the Next Bar can be used on every muscle in the body.
Come on out. They did get a little help from gymnast Ellie Black. O'Keefe created the product to help him deal with neck pain from working on the oil rigs. The prototype was a little rough.
I had this bat and trying to gain leverage on myself, and it just wasn't working. I had a moment where I looked down at my belt and decided leverage, that was the key.
O'Keefe then sought advice from a number of physiotherapists, Shelley being one, Chris Cluett being another. In a few short years, their creation landed them on the set of Dragon's Den last night and on the St. John's Morning Show today.
My heart was racing when I exited and went down over the stairs, and your silhouette is in the glass. But the second we were locked eyes, it was almost like a robotic thing. It had to get done, and either had to say what I had to say or mess it up. I wasn't planning on doing that. We can do this, Manjeet.
The Next Bar team had two offers. Manjeet Minhas offered $100,000 in return for a 20% stake in their company. The longest-serving Dragon, Jim Treliving, offered the same amount for 25%. When decision time came, they went with Minhas. Last night, the Next Bar team held a viewing party, ironically at Boston Pizza, a restaurant chain owned by Treliving, the investor they turned down. The popularity proved to be too much for the Next Bar website.
Things just blew up, and there was a couple times where the website just had crashed, and we had to get it rebooted pretty quickly.
The crew from Next Bar hope it's the start of something big.
This overnight success, as it stands today, has been 3 years in the making.
O'Keefe and Cluett say the next step now is to work out the deal with Minhas and, with her help, get more Next Bars on the market. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, as you heard off the top of the show, the St. John's Native Friendship Center is getting a new name. The nonprofit is turning 35 years old, and to celebrate, it's unveiling a new name and a new logo. That will all be revealed at an event later tonight at the Cochrane Center in downtown St. John's, and that's where my co-host is right now. Anthony, any word yet on the big reveal?
Well, I'm going to try to actually put some pressure on this guy here, Chris Shepard. He's the executive director. So why don't we just cut to the chase? It's been the Native Friendship Center for 35 years?
Yes.
It's changing its name. So what's the new name?
You'll find out soon enough.
All right. Why so cagey?
It took us a long time to figure it out.
So we will have that later on Here and Now. But just give me a sense of what is the 35-year celebration? What's happening here tonight here on this sort of rear side of Cochrane United?
We really wanted to provide a space to launch our new brand with all of our community partners and everyone that we know, and to really celebrate what it has meant to create this new brand for ourselves. And we wanted to do something special to show that to everyone.
All right, so we're going to take a look at exactly what that new brand is a little bit later. So you don't go anywhere because you promised to actually reveal everything.
Sure.
All right, but this is a new space for the Friendship Center, as it's called right now. That's going to change tonight. Stacey House is a person who's responsible for programs. So tell me about this space.
So this is a new space, and we will be having a performance and creativity space, not in this location, but another location of our building, where we'll showcase many great artists.
Okay, and now I know you've got a show tomorrow. You want to tell people about that?
Yeah, so tomorrow we're very excited about our stage show. There's going to be so many great Indigenous artists and non-Indigenous artists collaborating and sharing their talent and culture with all of our community members, and we invite everyone to come and attend and check it out.
All right, so this is tomorrow. What time? Where can people get tickets?
So it starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, and tickets are available online. You can go to our Facebook page, St. John's Native Friendship Center, but soon to be switched to our new name.
Okay, which, as I mentioned, we will reveal on Here and Now in just a little bit. So as a person who's going to be involved in these kinds of artistic programs, that kind of thing, how big a deal is it for you to have a space like this?
Oh, it's such a huge deal for us to have a space where we can actually present and showcase the talent that we have in this province, which is so rich, and we're just so fortunate to be able to share that with our community members and to raise awareness of Indigenous culture really in this province.
Right. And how significant do you think it is to actually put a focus on Indigenous music and performance? Do you think that we've had enough of that in the province?
No, absolutely not. I mean, there's so many talented artists, and there's so much beauty in the Indigenous culture that exists here, and it's not often shared or not often given the opportunity to be shared, and for other non-Indigenous peoples to witness and to participate. And that's what we're all about, is inviting the non-Indigenous community in to share in our beautiful culture.
Right. It's almost like standing next to you. I can feel the pride like beaming off you and hitting me. How proud are you?
I'm so proud. I mean, I worked at the St. John's Native Friendship Center for over 11 years, and so a very long time, and I pretty much grew up there in the organization. So now to have a new name and to have more locations where we can share more of our great work is just, you know, such a proud thing, and it's a proud organization to be involved with.
All right, and we'll find out about the new organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, more on what the Native Friendship Organization is going to be coming up on Here and Now.
A lot of the people there just simply couldn't afford to buy the clothing that fit the child properly.
Next, this teenager was inspired while volunteering in the Dominican Republic, and now she wants your help.
Weather update is brought to you by Harvey's Home Heating. Complete furnace replacement if yours cannot be repaired. That's furnace freedom. Visit harveyshomeheating.ca for more.
Here we are. Hello. Time now to have a look at the weekend forecast. And wow, today, what a difference compared to yesterday. Nice to see that wind gone.
Finally.
But you were out and about today in
Yeah.
kind of a windy place. Always windy down where
Yeah,
you were.
it wasn't terrible. I mean, just that residual swell that we've been seeing. So if you take a look at this video that we got earlier today, it was, yeah, those waves were a little crazy.
Yeah, you went down to, is this Middle Cove
Yep,
Beach?
Middle Cove Beach. I've only been there a couple of times, but from what I could see, though, those were high waves. I couldn't believe it. And this doesn't even do it justice. I mean, when you're in person, it looks significantly bigger.
And I bet much louder as well.
Oh, the sound, especially with that water crashing up. I don't know if you can hear it, but
gorgeous,
yeah,
though.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that.
No.
Definitely not safe.
But pretty to look at from afar.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, the wind has some good sometimes, for sure. But yeah, so today, though, temperatures were quite cold. We've dropped down into the minus single digits across the board. If we take a look at that, we're seeing some cooler temperatures up through Labrador as well, though only about minus 10 in Labrador City, minus 9 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. And then factor in that wind chill, it's a little bit cooler, feeling closer to minus 13. Those wind chills, as we head through the overnight tonight for parts of Labrador, are going to drop probably likely down to the minus teens. But the winds not quite bad, sitting around 15 kilometers an hour through the evening hours. So if we take a look at those warnings yet again today, we've got winter storm warnings for Port aux Basques. The rest, south coast, interior and central, under a a snowfall warning today. And then we've got those wind warnings again for Port aux Basques, Burin, and the Southern Avalon as well. Now, gusts tonight, upwards of about 130 kilometers through Port aux Basques, as those winds will continue to increase through the overnight tonight, peaking in the morning as that low sits right over in that southeast flow. That low continues to track a little bit further north, and that's when those winds will pick up everywhere else, specifically down through Burin. Bonavista could see gusts at 100 kilometers per hour as well through Saturday afternoon. And then into the evening hours, we'll start to see those winds ease right down. So taking a look at the future tracker and what we're expecting as far as temperatures go, or rather, here's the forecast for tonight. We're going to see temperatures climbing into the morning, and that's because of the next system that's moving in. So the future tracker is showing that snow moving across the province. Now here's this line, this pink line here is that mixing. So we're going to see ice pellets likely. So transition from snow to ice pellets through to rain towards the early morning hours for parts of Burin and into the Avalon as well, and then parts of eastern Newfoundland. In behind that, that should all stay as snow, and then those cooler temperatures in behind it into the northwest flow means we could see things change back over to snow into the afternoon and evening hours. It'll be more scattered in nature, though, as the bulk of that precipitation moves off through the day on Saturday and even into the overnight on Sunday. Taking a look at those flurries there on Sunday night, or rather Saturday night into Sunday. So we're going to continue to see that onshore flow. So here's a look at the forecast for tomorrow. 2 degrees should be the afternoon high for Port aux Basques, 7 in Marystown, 6 in St. John's. And that's why we're going to see those things change over to rain through the afternoon. Otherwise, some flurries expected. Most of that snow will stay towards the central areas and then south coast as well. You can see that here. Anywhere from 15 to 20 centimeters is a good bet. Northern Peninsula should stay out of the bulk of the precipitation, but still looking at about 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, upwards of about 30 through parts of central. And then eastern Newfoundland and the Avalon will likely see somewhere between 5 to 10 centimeters of a snow and ice pellet mixture before that changes over to rain on Saturday morning. And then eventually through the day on Saturday night, we could see that change back over to showers, or rather flurries, and then maybe pick up a couple more centimeters as well. So that's a look at the forecast for tomorrow. We'll nail down exactly when all of those transitions are going to happen coming up in a little bit.
Today, the Muskrat Falls inquiry focused on the risks associated with developing the Lower Churchill hydroelectric project. As Mark Quinn reports, the inquiry heard from the founder of the group asked by Nalcor to take a look at the risks associated with the cost and schedule.
You could say Richard Westney wrote the book on risk management. In fact, he's written 5 books on that topic. And his consulting company has focused on assessing risk management of international megaprojects like the Muskrat Falls development since 1978. But when it comes to Muskrat Falls, Westney says Nalcor didn't do enough work to get ready to greenlight the project.
I would say that I'm troubled.
In fact, on a scale of 1 to 15 for due diligence, he says the independent project review his company was asked to do for Nalcor would score very low.
This IPR, I would say, is maybe a 1 on that scale.
Westney was also critical of the work Nalcor did to prepare a schedule to estimate how much time the project would take. That's important because going over schedule means adding big money to the cost of the project.
You might as well just say this is a completely unrealistic schedule. We cannot work with this. I think anybody in the industry would know that.
Nalcor's lawyer Dan Simmons questioned if Westney Consultants warned Nalcor that it should have calculated the risks of the project more conservatively. Westney said it was his understanding that Nalcor was told this repeatedly. Muskrat Falls project director Paul Harrington is due to testify on Monday. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
A teenager in Labrador City wants your leftover baby clothes. 16-year-old Maggie Drover volunteered at a maternity hospital in the Dominican Republic last summer. During that time, she learned many families didn't have proper fitting clothing for their newborns. So she's launched her own project. Here in Now's Jacob Barker has more.
Well, this summer I spent 3 weeks in La Romana through Gap Medics. I did a 3-week shadowing internship program at different hospitals, but my last week was at Maternity Hospital Francisco Gonzalvo, where the majority of my days we spent shadowing nurses and doctors through cesarean sections and natural births. And afterwards we got to clean and hold the babies. And but the majority of them, the clothing was either too big or they didn't have any hats or mitts or socks at all to fit the babies. I would imagine a lot of the people there just simply couldn't afford to buy the clothing that fit the child properly. I found myself reflecting on how much we have in Canada and a lot of where I came from. So I decided to make a Facebook page and see how much interest there would be in people donating some of their old clothes. I knew that my family alone had a lot of the clothing that they had used for my cousins and everything brought up, and they didn't want to just throw it away because there's always someone that can make use of that. So I knew that there was probably a lot lying around that people were just waiting to donate. I've had a lot of donations of older used clothing, but I was very surprised to get brand new clothing as well. I've had a few people come straight from Walmart and carrying bags of brand new clothing just for me. It's incredible.
How far do you want this to go?
My original goal was $1,000 in monetary funds, but I'm just looking to take as many clothes as I can carry.
Matthew's playing piano, Jamie's on strings, Silver Bear Band tuning up here as they start to celebrate 35 years of the native St. John's Friendship Center. They've changed their name. If you've been paying attention so far, you might be able to guess what it is. If not, stay tuned. Welcome back to Here and Now. I'm here at a certain space in the back of Cochrane Street United, which is going to become a part of something that the St. John's Friendship Centre, Native Friendship Centre, is going to be using. The name is going to change, and if you've been particularly observant throughout our live coverage, you may have figured out what that name is if you've been paying attention in the background. But we'll find out what the name is and why this organization is going through the change that it's going through after 35 years. Some exciting news, and as you heard earlier, a whole new performing venue here as well with a concert tomorrow. So a lot of excitement here tonight. We're going to get to that now. We had some excitement earlier in the day. We went to the St. John's Native Friendship Centre on Water Street and got an introduction not just to throat singing, but how to teach throat singing. Take a look.
Today, my throat singing partner, Jenny Williams, and I will be teaching the skill of Inuit throat singing to a number of participants. I'm going to pass around this piece of Labradorite, and maybe first we'll do like an introduction on the historical context of throat singing and the cultural significance, and then we'll demonstrate a few different sounds and songs. You've got to not only control your diaphragm breathing and use the guttural sound of your voice, but you've got to really train your ears to listen. It's a very ancient tradition, and of course it was suppressed for a period of time in Canadian history and our province's history. So it's important to share the knowledge of this beautiful tradition and to encourage people to be understanding and to celebrate cultural diversity. Yeah. So you've got, your high voice and then that guttural low voice. Yeah. It's very meditative, actually. It's almost as though it's a bit of a trance. It's very important to not only focus on your own breath and the sounds that you're making, but a very significant part of it is to listen and to train your ears to not only listen to the sounds that you're making, but more importantly, the sounds that your partner is making, since it's such a dynamic duet between two partners. So throat singing, you're always making the same sound as your partner, but never at the same time. And so when one person is breathing in, the other is breathing out. And when one is breathing out, the other is breathing in. And so it's almost like circle singing, where you have, say, one person singing row, row, row your boat, and another person cut in. So you get that dynamic back and forth, always making the same sound, never at the same time, gradually speeding up. So it's a very fun musical style of competition. What I enjoy about teaching this to people is the opportunity to share aspects of Inuit culture and to raise awareness about Indigenous cultures that are still very much thriving in our province and nation. I hope that they'll go home with increased knowledge of the skill of throat singing itself, but also more understanding and acceptance of Indigenous cultures and music. We won!
So a little glimpse there of some of the magic of throat singing. Now I wanted to try it, but I was a little afraid that I wouldn't get the breathing right and I'd probably hyperventilate and pass out. So I had to come back for another lesson some other time. But throat singing, of course, is just a tiny glimpse into something that is very important to Indigenous culture. And as the St. John's Native Friendship Centre morphs into a new organization, it's going to try to explain all kinds of things about Indigenous Native culture to people, as well as help people, and not just Indigenous people. That's one of the things I was surprised about being here today. The centre also offers help to non-Indigenous people. We're going to explore that and other things a little bit later on Here and Now.
Well, as you've heard throughout our ongoing series, Fatal Fun, a CBC investigation into ATV accidents in Atlantic Canada, the machines can be dangerous, but a local group of ATV enthusiasts in eastern Newfoundland is putting safety first. A few weeks ago, CBC tagged along with Avalon ATV for a family fun ride and a boil-up in the woods. Take a look.
I started this in September. Just get out and enjoy the countryside. Kids enjoy it. Plus we like just to go out and let loose. We plan it up first. There's 2 or 3 sites that puts it up on. Whoever shows up, shows up. Then we probably just go for a small run. We see some water, we play in it. We see some mud, we play in it. We get dirty. Like kid at a candy store.
There's so many ATV accidents that you hear about. And when I joined this group, one of the things that I noted was that they're This group is just about the joy of riding, being out in nature, enjoying the elements, rain, sun, snow, whatever. And as long as I've been riding with them, I've never seen any alcohol or any drugs open on any run that I've been on, which is absolutely wonderful. For me personally, it's definitely a determining factor for joining a group. For people who are new riders, as I am, if they're with people who can teach them how to ride, keeping in mind, speed and the factors and the terrain that you're riding on. If you take all of those things into consideration when you're riding, practice safe practices, wear your helmet, you can be safe on a bike.
People just have to dine on them. Simple fact, no helmet. But helmet is a big thing. No helmet, no ride. Know where you're going. Be prepared. Any run I go on, I have a first aid kit. You don't know what can happen.
I mind my speed, and because I'm a new rider, I probably don't ride as fast as the others. But this group, again, no one gets left behind. So if someone gets ahead, they'll stop, wait for others to catch up. It's pure joy. It's, being out in the elements, away from the technology. We're at an age where there's so much information coming at us all the time that you're out there and you're just taking it all in, breathing the fresh air. It's beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. The wind, the rain, the dirt, the mud, it's absolutely awesome.
You get these butterflies in your stomach and you're just ready to go.
Bocce Ball for All will take you to the Easter Seals annual tournament for athletes with disabilities in St. John's.
They left the city and created a homestead. Steve and Lisa McBride, the homesteaders. Sunday at noon and Monday at 7.
Welcome back. Well, if you've ever played bocce ball, you know it can be a fun game, but for athletes with mobility challenges, it's a sport they take very seriously. This weekend, Easter Seals is hosting the 25th annual National Bocce Ball Championship right here in St. John's. And as you're about to see, some competitors have to do amazing things just to put the ball in play.
very competitive. You know, when I started, I came from wheelchair rugby, and wheelchair rugby, it's full-on contact, so I'm playing this bocce game. Oh, this is going to be boring. But then I started to play, I started to witness how much focus and concentration you need in this sport. So it's pretty intense.
So you have some players that are throwers, obviously, so they're able to propel the ball on the floor themselves. So that would be, you know, BC1, BC2, and BC 4 and 5 classes. BC3 class would be the more severely impaired disabilities, and so some of them can't physically propel the ball. So they'll use a ramp. They play with an assistant. In some cases, these athletes are nonverbal as well. So all of the communication between the athlete and the sport assistant is done with eye movement in a lot of cases.
I think it's the most inclusive sport there is. It makes me feel included. I can do it all myself, and that's what drew me to the game. You get these butterflies in your stomach, and you're just ready to go.
And wherever I go, I always have my balls with me, and I'm always ready to throw down. And other people from other sports are going, oh, bocce's got to be pretty easy. There's a white ball, you just got to aim for it. It's a piece of cake. But then they start to throw, and they realize that there's more to this game than meets the eye. I think right now, as a matter of fact, the two best provinces for bocce are Quebec and Newfoundland. There's a lot of involvement, and if you look at the players here, I think there's 8 or 9 from Newfoundland, and there's like 14 from Quebec, and by far we're the 2 largest contingencies here. So it really speaks volumes to all the volunteers that are here, all the players as well. So for me, it's this bocce game's a combination of like curling and chess. It's really intense, and when you go on the court, I mean, when you're one-on-one as well, it's really exhilarating.
it's weekend time. Lots of people looking ahead to tomorrow, trying to make some plans, what they're going to be doing. And in the east, what's it going to be like?
A little bit of a wintry mix through starting tonight and then continuing through the day tomorrow. So if we take a look at the timeline for St. John's, we're going to see that start of snow as we head through the night tonight. Temperatures hovering around -2. By morning, that temperature is going to jump up to about anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees. And that's when we're going to see a little bit of a mix as far as precipitation goes. So we're going to see that potential for some ice pellets. A total of 5 to 10 centimeters is expected before that changes over to rain in the morning hours, because we're going to see those temperatures jump up to about 6 degrees by around 9 a.m. Otherwise, those winds will pick up tonight, gusting about 70 to 80 kilometers per hour out of the southeast. They're going to change to southwest into the afternoon tomorrow, and then ease slightly down to about 50 kilometers per hour, then pick right back up into the evening hours, switching to northwest, gusting upwards of about 80. Now, overnight, we could see that potential to change over to flurries through the evening. So here's a look at what we're expecting Saturday night. Again, going to hang on to that chance of flurries along the west coast, generally clearing out everywhere else. We could see a few flurries through the day on Sunday as well, particularly for the west coast, down through the Burin and Avalon could all see that as well. But those temperatures are looking like we're going to see around -1 to 0. Warmest will be down through Marystown, where we could see about 3 degrees through the day on Sunday. But overall, not a bad day. That sun should peak out for the most part and then clear towards the evening hours. So why are we seeing this active pattern? Well, it's all about where that jet stream is headed or what's happening with the jet stream. So we're seeing a big dig in that jet stream, some cooler temperatures moving in as we head towards the end of the week. And then that flow with the jet stream is why we keep seeing system after system move in. And that's exactly the case over the next couple of days. So into Monday, we will eventually see a little bit of break as far as weather goes. A little bit of a high pressure moves in. Tuesday, another system's developing as far as weather goes. Winds not so bad, but we could see a change as far as rain and snow goes. And then another area of high pressure moves in for overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll see that move over. And then again, by Thursday morning, another system looks like it's going to move in. And that's going to be the story through the day on Friday as that system continues. In behind it, we've got another area of high pressure for the weekend. So maybe this weekend, or rather next weekend, we're going to see a little bit of sunshine. Obviously, it's still another week away, but we'll definitely keep an eye on that. So I'll have your weather photo coming up in a little bit. Carolyn?
Thanks, Ashley. And as we've seen throughout the show tonight, Anthony is at a special event this evening. The St. John's Native Friendship Centre is changing its brand, and the new name is being announced at the Cochrane Centre in St. John's very soon, and that's where Anthony is right now. So Anthony, you mentioned a little bit earlier that observant folks may have gotten a peek at that new name, but it's about to be officially announced, right?
That's right, and I just had to get Chris Alexander. He's kind of schmoozing as more and more people actually arrive here at Cochrane Street United. So starting to feel a bit of excitement here.
Yeah, people are starting to show up. They're excited to be here. We're excited to show them everything.
So 35 years, and I mentioned when I mentioned we're going to talk again that I had no idea that you actually provide services also for people who were non-Indigenous. Can you tell me a bit about that?
So that's one thing that we find ourselves telling people more and more, because people don't realize that friendship centers have an open door policy, and that means that we help whoever needs to, who walks through the door, regardless of who they are.
All right, so obviously some of your funding must be targeted though because of the name was kind of implicit as to what it is you do. So obviously certain things are targeted for Indigenous people. So what will your organization do? Is that going to change at all as you change the name?
No, we've been growing significantly over the years, and we do as much as we can for the Indigenous community because that's really what our priority is.
Right.
But everything we do is Indigenous. It just means that everyone can come.
All right. Every now and then your fans are expecting you to look over there to sort of say hello, by the way. Okay, I'm going to talk a bit about what the decision was to actually change the name a bit, but I think the moment has arrived.
All right, well, now you get to see what our name is, and so you can watch this wonderful video.
All right, so there it is. We've seen a beautiful video, by the way. So give me a sense, why this name?
For us, it was important to showcase first being the first peoples of this country, and light is really important to all people, but especially here in St. John's where we get the first light in North America, and that's really important to everyone. So it shows bringing people together, but also recognition of first peoples.
And also, I guess it's more general, right? St. John's Native Friendship Center had its time and its place. Are you going to miss the old name?
I don't think so, because I think we're bringing it along with us, just in a different way.
All right. So as you move down the road now, First Light, new name, new organization, and actually new digs. I haven't asked you about that. What do you make of space here at Cochrane Street United?
It's an amazing space that we happened upon in a wonderful partnership with the people who are here, not expected by anyone really, and it's something that both parties have embraced really well, which we look at as what reconciliation really does look like.
All right, listen, congratulations. I know the celebration is just underway and you got to make the official announcement. Thanks a lot for inviting us.
Thank you so much.
All right, there we go. Right, back to you, Carolyn.
Well, this photo, I think you probably know where this is taken.
Oh, yes.
Okay, don't say it, don't say it.
That's an easy one.
It is an
but
easy
a great shot.
It is a beautiful shot. I'll tell you where this was taken and who took it coming up after the break.
The East Coast, join me, Amy Smith, and meteorologist Ryan Snodden for Atlantic Tonight, right after the National.
An anniversary greetings brought to you by Lane's Retirement Living. With a bowling alley, pool, cinema, and more. Everyone wants in. Lane's Retirement Living. Sorry, only for seniors.
Time now for birthdays and anniversaries, starting off with Isabel Power from Cupid's. She turns 97 on November 19th. Happy birthday. Happy 100th birthday today to Mary Fleming of Torbay. She now lives in St. John's. 90th birthday greetings to Margaret Penton in Gander. Birthday wishes for Kay Locke's 97th birthday. She lives in Chamberlains. Happy birthday to Ernest Watson Budden in Sop's Arm. He turned 101 on November 13th.
Happy 56th wedding anniversary to Bill and Mary Jordan from Harbor Grace, who celebrated on November 15th. 53rd anniversary greetings going out to Tom and Violet Party of Little Bay East, Fortune Bay. We're told they watched the show faithfully, so thanks for that. Rita and Calvin Barnes from Summerford will be celebrating their 54th wedding anniversary on November 19th. Congratulations to Brenda and Stuart Ralph of Point Leamington. They celebrated 56 years of marriage on November 12th. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Elizabeth and Stanley Barber from Brooklyn.
Also celebrating a golden anniversary are Fred and Shirley Coombs of Bishop's Cove. Wishing John and Susan Bromley of Conch a happy 55th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to Ronald and Rose Badcock, who celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary on November 15th. And a very happy 95th birthday to Grace Cook of St. John's. Her birthday will be coming up on Monday. Happy birthday to Leslie Jack Elms of Port-aux-Basques, who is celebrating his 93rd birthday today.
Happy 90th birthday today to Hannah Park of MacGyvers. A happy birthday to Lillian Powers of Gull Island, Conception Bay, who will be celebrating her 90th birthday tomorrow. Wishing Harold Pafford of Corner Brook a happy 94th birthday tomorrow. And Joyce Newhook of Grand Falls, Windsor turns 95 today. Happy birthday.
And happy 94th birthday to Muriel Chazon of Mainland, who is celebrating today. Happy 91st birthday to Grace Hancock of Forteau, Labrador. Happy 91st birthday also to Kay Smith of Witless Bay. Anniversary wishes to Dawn and Kay Windsor of Happy Adventure, Bonavista Bay. They're celebrating their 57th tomorrow. Happy 65th anniversary to Henry and Pat Young of Grand Falls, Windsor.
Congratulations to Anne and James Hickey of Terrenceville on their 55th anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary to Verley and Frank Hodenot of Embry. Harvey and Lorraine Welsh of Whiteway will be celebrating their 54th anniversary on November 20th. Happy 63rd anniversary tomorrow to Walter and Rowena Frost of Hillview, Trinity Bay. Happy 56th wedding anniversary to Archibald and Marie Rumbold. They celebrated on the 14th.
And a golden wedding anniversary today to Wilfred and Rita Brown of Happy Valley Goose Bay. Happy 57th anniversary greetings going out to David and Lorraine Best of Cox's Cove. Happy 55th wedding anniversary today to Clayton and Hazel Penny of Corner Brook. Happy 57th anniversary to Lottie and Stan Mercer of Burgeo. And 60th anniversary greetings to George and Francis Bowles of Ramia. They will celebrate on the 18th.
Happy 57th wedding anniversary to Gordon and Beulah Morgan of Seal Cove, Conception Bay South. Happy 91st birthday to Ellen Mooney from Branch, St. Mary's Bay. And happy birthday to Thomas Walsh of Corner Brook, who celebrated his 97th birthday yesterday.
Fine crowd celebrating. So yeah, you have a pretty easy viewer photo of the day tonight, but a really nice one.
I do. Yeah, we'll take a look at that photo one more time.
I did have to squint for a second to see where that is in the background, but
yeah. But you figured it out.
Yeah.
We didn't actually say it yet, but that's Signal Hill. That spot, or Signal Hill.
Looking over to the Fort Amherst area. Yeah,
that's right.
Signal Hill Trail.
Yeah, so just in St. John. So thank you, Jim Blackmore, for sending that great shot in there. And those berries.
Yeah, we were talking about those berries, trying to figure out what they are. I'm not really sure.
They look like rose hips, but I don't think there's rose hips here.
No. What was the name of the trail?
Signal Hill Trail.
North Head Trail. North Head Trail. Sorry, we just got a correction there. North Head Trail. Got to get that right.
That's right.
But great shot for sure. And for folks on the Avalon too, anyone looking for something to do on the weekend, the Twin Flames are playing tomorrow night at the Cochrane Centre. That's where Anthony was tonight for his live hits, where the St. John's Native Friendship Centre has changed its name to First Light, and so there are going to be celebrations all weekend long around that at the Cochrane Centre. So the Twin Flames will be there, and you're familiar with the Twin Flames.
Yeah, I've seen them a couple times. Great show.
Yeah. All right, have a great weekend, everyone.
Good night.